here at the top. See how it says live?
Mm-hmm.
And it'll kind of do that. So, okay, so we're here, we're live. Welcome to our, want to say Saturday night, but it's not, Monday night BAM series. I'm super stoked about our guest tonight. I probably should wait. I hate how some people will like, I don't hate it. It's awesome. But some people will wait for like 3 or 4 minutes to get the viewers to come on. So they like sit and kind of diddle dally. But I always jump right into it because I'm excited. So anyway, so my name's Rachel Piocchini. For those of you guys who don't know me, Piocchini, get your little hand up there. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and I'm super stoked to have Heather on here with us tonight. So we'll just kind of chit chat for a second, catch up why we build. We'll get ourselves to build. We'll build our audience, and then we will get into her story. How are you? We didn't even get a chance to like chit chat before.
Hey, I'm good. I'm just I'm actually technically working right now. I work from home, and I think I told you that, but my boss is covering the phones for me right now, so we're all good.
I know. That's what the one good thing, I think, like somebody today, I was going to pick some supplies up and they're like, oh, I can't do it today because the weather, I'm staying home. And I'm like, that's the one thing I love about COVID, though, like that we can really say we love. I don't know. I can find the positive in it because like, if you don't want to go to work because it's a snow day, like people have the ability to stay home now.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really grateful that I get to work from home. I mean, and I work in treatment, so I get to help people, too. But yeah, I love my job.
Yeah, I know. You worked at Brighton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Brighton.
Yeah, I do too. I'm really grateful. I work for them. It's been a great opportunity for me.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, no, we've sent a lot of people there over the last well, not we, but I have, or we, whoever we are. Whoever we are
the recovery collective, there's so many of us.
Yeah, like everything is we. There is no I anymore because it is such a group. As you know, it's a community effort for everything that we do.
So much.
Yeah. Cool. So let's go. We can just kind of jump into it. So you guys, this is Heather. I don't know too much about your story, so I can't even give you too much of an intro other than you're beautiful. I love you. We're total Facebook buddies, And so I'm probably more excited than a lot of people just to actually like get to know you and learn a little bit more about you and how you've become to be like just the person you are today. So we can kind of I'll let you take the reins and have at it.
Okay. So yeah, I'm Heather. So I guess, let's see, I'll start. I mean, I grew up in a small town, northwest of Ogden. And my parents divorced when I was really little. And there was a lot of contention with that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of, I kind of grew up feeling like, and even though this wasn't my parents' intentions, I kind of grew up feeling like I didn't belong there, or I wasn't wanted, or I wasn't good enough, or whatever. And that kind of carried over, or it really carried over into my into the rest of my life. But like into my high school years, like I was addicted to people before I was addicted to drugs or alcohol, right? Like I wanted everyone to love me, and I wanted everyone to like me. So I was going to become whoever you wanted me to become in order to. Not when it came to my parents, so I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do. So I was like, fuck school, fuck, anything conventional,
Yeah.
And so that like codependency and that insecurity, that was just kind of like just how I operated. And I tried alcohol and like weed, whatever, in high school, but I really didn't get into it too much. And I got pregnant at 20 and had my first daughter at 21. And I kind of started drinking at that time, but I wasn't like a crazy alcoholic when I was with my first husband, because he was, and I really hated it. I mean, I couldn't stand it. Like I was resentful of it. And so anyway, we had 2 kids. I had a son 4 years later, and that marriage lasted about 7 years, and it was pretty terrible. Mostly because he was in his sickness, and I was an enabler and I was a, you know what I mean? I had a victim and whatever else. And then I meet my second husband and, you know, and he's also an alcoholic, but he makes it look a lot more fun because he's got money, right? So for him, he was in the weed game, right? So he had a lot of money and he didn't have to put a lot of time into his job. So he, you know, mimosas for breakfast, Bloody Marys for breakfast, like whatever. It was all glamorous in a way, right? So I got into drinking with him. And next thing I know, I have like this physical addiction to alcohol. 2007, I went to treatment for that. I got sober and stayed sober for like 4 years. Oh yeah, and I should mention, right when like in 2010, we had a son, my husband and I, my second husband and I. And so we were sober when we had him. We got married when we had him. And also, I should mention, I guess this is kind of an important thing. My second husband was very abusive. He was, you know, it got physical, but it was very, very psychologically abusive for a long time, verbally, mentally, emotionally, you know, and I was very stuck in that. But we got sober and then it was a little better, you know, I mean, now that I know what healthy is, it wasn't great, but it was better, you know? And so we had my son and then we were both sober for about, like I said, 4 years. We weren't in recovery though, which I now know the difference between abstinence and recovery, right? Abstinence is not sustainable, at least not that I've ever seen, not for a long time. Anyway, so about 4 years in, I thought I was cured of alcoholism because I didn't know about it because I didn't get recovery, you know what I mean? So I thought it was something that I just needed to take a break from and then I could drink again. And then about, I don't know, 3 months into that, it was, it was bad. I was drinking all day long, you know, and then I don't know I feel like I want to say like maybe like only a few months after we started drinking, he introduced me to heroin, which is like, you know, I don't know, not usually a quick jump from alcohol to heroin, but hey, I was fucking sick, you know. So I tried it and I fucking liked it, you know. And I hope language is okay. Everyone's not offended. This is how I talk, but so I got into that, right, and I got into it, and you know, within a year and a half of trying that drug for the first time, I had lost my home. My husband was in prison. I had lost my son to DCFS, the youngest. And I don't need to go into the details of that because anyone who's ever been through that understands, or even if you haven't, if you have kids, you can probably imagine. And then, you know, he was in prison. I was homeless and like, I had never been homeless before. But you know, I'm a, what's the word? I'm a survivor, right? And I was like, I'm not sleeping outside. I got to figure something out. You know what I mean? So I started selling drugs and doing little hustles and all this little shit. And of course, the one thing I was never going to do, well, I was never going to shoot up drugs, but then of course it's cheaper, it's economical, right? And I got into meth, which I was never going to do either. So now I got, you know, two things going on. Cocaine, I was like, you know, shooting up all three. And I thought and then I started hustling the streets and, you know, and meth definitely made me think I was doing a really good job at that. Like it has that ability to like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like I'm falling out of control out here. Staying at the gateway, like I'm balling out of control, you know, like, because in my mind, because I had a place to sleep, I was doing way better than those other junkies, you know, on the street. Anyway, so once I found out about sex work, right? And that was also something I was never going to do, but the opportunity presented itself. And so I was like, well, fuck it. Like, in my mind, it was like easy money, you know what I mean? And it was, you know, it gave me some independence. That sounds crazy to a lot of people, but it was like, I always had a place to stay and I always had money for drugs, the two things that I cared about. And all the while, I should mention, my two older kids, I didn't lose them, but I abandoned them because the moment I lost my youngest son, in my mind, I was no longer a mother. Like I was no longer qualified to take on that, to have that role. So I just fucking was like, bye, you know, and they would see me. I go to jail every July. I don't know. July is like my month to go to jail. And so then I'd be like, oh, I'm never going to do that again. I'd get out. I'd stay clean for 30 days or whatever, and then go back out, all the while never getting recovery. I've been to treatment though, 7 times I should mention, but I never thought I needed to do recovery. I always just thought I needed to just get it, get away from the drugs for a minute. And so all that shit went on for about 5 years, I guess. And then the last time I ever went to jail was July 22nd of 2018. And I caught some pretty serious charges at that point, and like APMP was like ready to terminate me, but make me do every day I was running in jail. So I was going to be doing like a couple years at ADC, which is fucking
yeah, horrible. Nobody should ever be there.
No, I was like, just send me to prison. Like I can't, yeah. So I was kind of like, okay, like, and that was like the moment where I was like, I can't do this shit. Like, I can't, this is not working for me. And I'd never really gotten to, I always knew it wasn't working, but I never gotten to that point where I was like, holy, like, I really, like, please, like, I need some answer here. And I was introduced to AA in jail by my, I had a cellmate that was like, she was about it, and she was this older lady, and she'd been there forever, and she was always in a good mood, and it really pissed me off because I was like, I don't know, you've been here almost a year, and you're just always in a good mood, and this place is hateful. And I was really stressing out, and she just told me to pray about it. And I looked at her and I was like, I always share this, but I said to her, I feel really bad now because she was like serious about the Bible and whatever. But I said, oh, okay, that's like, I might as well write a letter to Mickey Mouse and have him get a hold of the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus, and let's all have a get together, and her face was just like, and she just said to me, well, if it's not real and if you don't believe in it, or if it's not real, then well, how's it going to hurt you? And I was just like, okay, you got me there. So, that was like my first moment to actually like, like, I don't, I'm not going to get all into any of that right now, but like, as far as like my spirituality goes, like, I don't have a thing. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. You know what I mean? I just have a connection somehow. Usually my spiritual connection is through others. Right. And so, and like that whole, like just pausing and like praying or whatever, it just kind of gave me a moment to like put my intentions, for the day or whatever. And then I started reading the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that introduced me to that program. I got out and I started a treatment. Like I started an outpatient, and I did like I had nowhere to go, and I was lucky enough to have a family member that helped me with sober living and the outpatient. And I'm really glad I did that because I had a lot of sexual trauma. I had the trauma of losing my child. Just, like we as addicts, we have trauma. Like whether or not we had it before we got addicted, we always have it. You know what I mean? We fuck our lives up, and we do a lot of shitty things to ourselves. And and I really needed that. Like AA is my maintenance, and AA is like helped me a ton. But I needed that therapy piece. I needed to do the trauma work, and I needed to do, and I had a really great therapist, and then I also had a really great sponsor. I have a really great sponsor in AA that was fucking hard on me. He was also in sex work. You know what I mean? Take no shit. Like, just I needed someone that was a whip cracker. And I don't know. It was like right as soon as I started doing all that stuff, it was like I don't know. I got really lucky in my recovery because. And don't worry, I have attempted this many times and it wasn't fucking easy. But this time around, I don't know if it's because I was just fucking beat down, had nothing left to give, that I was willing to just do whatever. I didn't give a shit. Like I was just like, oh, you put crystals on your head at night and and they burn incense, like that's what you do. Okay, I'll try that. You know what I mean? Anything that anyone would ask me to, I was like, all right, if it's working for you, I'm gonna try it. And I was really, you know what I mean? And I was really open-minded too. Like I was just like, if my sponsor would have said, I want you to stand on your head every morning and say prayers in Japanese every morning, I'd be like, all right, word, I'll do it. Because I had no answers, none whatsoever. And that didn't just start with my heroin and alcohol addiction, right? That goes back to my beginning, like for as early as I can remember. I never felt sure of myself. I never liked myself. I never, you know what I mean? And drugs was something like the sex work was kind of empowering because it was like the first thing that I was really good at. You know what I mean? Like, that sounds crazy, I know, but like, surviving the streets was like, oh shit, look at me, like I'm a hustler, so, and really that's not true. That's not the only thing I was good at, but in my mind, that was the first thing that I was actually like, oh, look, I'm succeeding at this. And so, yeah, in sober living, I was introduced to, well, not sober living, sorry, IOP. I met Austin Gillespie. That's my partner in crime. And actually the funny story with that is, so I thought, because I was so codependent, I thought I needed a man like immediately, like I've got 4 days sober, I need a man, even though I obviously like did not need a man. Like I was so sick with it. But so he comes to IOP, like I was already there, and he like comes from residential to this IOP, and I was like, and we got along, and we had all these things in common. I was like, oh yeah, okay, this, because I prayed about it, like give me a man, and that's what, and here comes Austin. I was like, oh, this is the guy that, and then I find out he's gay, and I was like, there's my answer. That's my answer. That's my man, a gay man. So anyway, I got really tight with Austin. He became like a very, very good support to me. We both really like supported one another, but he had this idea where he'd been doing this thing with, Dance with Sobriety was what it was originally called. And he's like, do you want to do this with me? I'm like, I have no background in dance. Like, I don't know. I have no, and he's like, no, like I want you to, so I was like, all right. And I was taught, early, by my sponsor and, some other people that in recovery that, take healthy risks in recovery, like say yes to shit that you normally wouldn't. And I don't give a shit what it is, like, and I took that to heart. And I also try and turn that around and give it up to other people, because that's one of the things that saved my ass was getting involved in service. You know what I mean? Like, help me get outside of myself, but also taking healthy risks. Like when someone, so he asked me to do this and I was like, ooh, but I said yes. And I'm so glad I did, because he's one of my best friends, but also we got this opportunity to do this thing that's, it's unique and it's cool, and so like I have the 12-step background, and that's what works for me. But I also, another thing that Austin and I were what's been cool is that we, as it's evolved, like, so over the past 2 years, I've also done like, outreach with Soap to Hope, and that's what this is,
You matter.
Represent. I know I should be wearing a Dance with a Recovery Vibe shirt, but
but the You Matter shirt, sweatshirt, like I gotta get one. Everybody should have one. Yeah, everybody should have a You Matter hoodie.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's super cool. I should have a Recovery Vibe shirt on. Austin's probably, and in fact, he's calling me right now. Who knows why?
Austin, hi, Austin. We love you.
He knows I'm on here. I don't know what he's doing, what he's thinking. So anyway, yeah. So it was it was like a really, another thing that I got involved in. Like, so I did the 12-step stuff, but also that was like that was a community, right?
Yeah.
And when I started doing stuff like with Recovery Soldiers, Soap to Hope, Dance with Sobriety, like, just bam, I've done a little bit of like, for unsheltered people, like whatever, but like early on, it was pretty much, AA, Recovery Soldiers, Dance with Sobriety.
Yeah.
And all of that was this like fun and recovery and connection. And like, I share this a lot, but, people, before I got into recovery, people were commodities to me, right? Especially men, because it's how I made my money. But just in general, that hustle, that whole thing, like where I what can you do for me? What can I get from you? What is your hustle? What, you know what I mean? Like it was never like, I didn't give a shit about you. I just cared what you could do for me. And so when I first got in, sober, it was like, it was so dope to be like, oh, I get to like go and help people. Like I get to give of myself and get out of myself. And, I mean, one of my most, probably like, I mean, now, like I said in the beginning that I was addicted to people. That was my first addiction. And that was like in a sick way. That was like, that was in like a manipulative way, right? Like I'm going to do stuff for you so that you will like me. You know what I mean? It was always for like there was a motive behind it. But now I'm addicted to serving people, not for me, but because it gives me purpose. Yes. But it's not to get, it's not to get like brownie points or, a trophy or whatever. It's because it's like it's always been my life's mission. and I just had to go through all this other bullshit to
Yeah,
figure it
yeah.
out. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. And with Recovery Vibe, it's evolved, like I said, and I'm really grateful that Austin was on board with, and that we were both cool to, like, that we came to we came to this agreement that we should change the name of our nonprofit because, we wanted it to be inclusive rather than exclusive. And the word sobriety can be exclusive for a lot of reasons. I mean, some people are not in recovery from an addiction to a substance, right? I mean,
Right.
some people there's lots of different things to be recovering from. And then also there's different pathways to sobriety. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone, there's harm reduction. There's just all kinds of different avenues that I'm really grateful that, we can open that up. But, yeah. And then just getting to work in treatment. I worked at Odyssey House before I worked for Brighton. And, I fucking loved that job. Loved that population. Those were my people.
Yeah, I know. There's all the homies. I feel like everyone starts in Odyssey House who works in treatment for the most part, but sadly, we think there are people, but like they're so abnormal to the real crowd. It's like 80% of the people who are addicted are live at home with their families and go to work, and there's this huge population, and then we get this small population of what you and I experience, North Temple and all those areas and downtown Salt Lake, and it's like we think that's the norm, but we were just extremists. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were extreme balls to the wall and did our damn things and whatever. But but Odyssey House, it's like, it's a really good program. My dad, actually, that's like my family, a little background about me. I'm not going to, this is your show, but it's
oh no, we're talking. I've been talking for 20 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah. So my dad's from New York, and he started off, and he was in Odyssey House in New York, and he came as, when he had found recovery, to come and open the Odyssey House here in Salt Lake. So his recovery journey. Yeah, that's how my family, and then he met my mom down at the White House, it's like not a frat house, but a college house next door. And so she fell in love with the druggy guy from New York. She thought it was going to be recovery. And I don't want to say druggy dad, but it was just she fell in love with the bad guy. So out of the White House has huge history to my family, because that's how my parents met, on those two little balconies that are still there.
So, oh my God, I love that.
I love that every once in a while, and I'm like, I wonder if anybody was conceived over there. Which one of my sisters, he'd die. My dad's probably hearing me say that upstairs, and one saying she just has no filter.
I mean, it kind of goes with our territory, Yeah. I mean.
So tell me, because as a 12-stepper, right? A lot of people will start in the program. Will start in with the program like you did, but you've gone to a different extreme again. Like, you are working with Soap to Hope, right? And going out and doing a needle exchange and all these other things. Like, that almost totally goes against what the 12 steps, have taught you in the beginning. So what is that? Did you know what I'm saying? I'm like that. And so I go out of the box, we have to love people, and I know that's kind of the thing. We can't pressure people to go into recovery. And so you've got a really strong 12-step background. What is it like trying to go in for you and be out of that norm? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I think I know what you're saying. As far as so first of all, with Soap to Hope, I haven't done outreach with them for a little bit, but I was doing it pretty solid for about 8 months. Then COVID happened, and I worked at Odyssey, and they didn't really want us out doing stuff. And, and then I just haven't gotten back to it. That doesn't mean I don't love it and respect it and whatever. But, I waited until I had a full year sober before I ever went out, with Soap to Hope. Because I just wanted I wanted to make sure my recovery was solid. And with that, so for me, there's some kinds of service that I personally was okay to do before I got through the 12 steps. You know what I mean? Giving people rides, do this, but to go into a trap house or to a fucking Gateway motel or to hand out meals on the street, no way was I, there's no way I would have been able to do that without probably ramifications for myself. You know what I mean? So I had to use the 12 steps to get myself a really good, solid spiritual connection. You know, for me, that's what it's about. And then the 12th step is helping others, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and that's sponsorship. I do sponsor women in AA, but I also take it a step further. And you know, to me, people are people. And I'll tell you right now, Damon Harris used to do needle exchange for me when I was out there, and he kept me safe for many, many months. And he, you know, I know him because we were original peers at Odyssey House many years prior. And you know, he didn't judge me. He didn't, you know, he'd say stuff to me sometimes like, so are you done yet? You know, and then he'd be like, you look like you're done, you know, or whatever, you know, he'd put the bug in my ear, like, you know, hey, I got a bed if you want to go, you know, but wasn't trying to push me. He wasn't trying to, and he always showed up for me, and he always made me feel like I wasn't a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And I needed some human decency, you know? And it wasn't long after like Damon was really kind of like, hey man, I got a bed for you. Hey, because he could tell it, I think, that I was like, you know, each time I'd see him, I'd be like, yeah, man, like, I think I need to stop, but I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? And I think he could kind of like see that. So he was kind of trying to get in there. And I thanked him right after I got out of jail, because it was like only like a few months after that I went to jail, and you know, and I really was appreciative of that. So to me, and same with the sex work, like there were times when I was in one of those motels and I was just like, if I died right now, I'm a Jane Doe. Like, I don't even have, I mean, obviously eventually they'd ID me with my fingerprints or whatever, but nobody out here knows my real name. It's street names, you know what I mean? And then like my family has no idea if I'm alive or dead. And you know what I mean? It would just be, so for me to be able to do the self-help thing, like, I don't think it goes against the 12-step thing at all. Like, I don't, I mean, I'm sure there's some people that would disagree with me, you know, on harm reduction and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, anything is better. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit what it is that your harm reduction is. Like, it's better than what it, you know, and even if harm reduction is just you going out and saying to somebody like, I care about you. You matter. You're not forgotten to me. Like, I hear you. I see you. That's exactly why I'm sober. You know what I mean? Is so that I can be the person that can bring that into the world. And I definitely, I feel like the 12 steps enabled me to do all of that.
Yeah, well, that's rad. Well, because we're like in such, Utah's like, we're already in our own bubble, right? Like, we have the tweakers here. Let me just tell you, if you haven't been out of state, the tweaker bubble in Utah, like, Tweaker Town is so different than it is in LA. In New York, it's totally different. Like, you think you're coming to Utah, you come to like this mountain land country. Dude, I've never seen anything like it. Like, I've lived in a backpack in Manhattan, you know what I'm saying? And my whatever. And here, I didn't know how to, it blew me away. So it's different, but now we've changed. Recovery's different here also, because there's so many groups that are supporting harm reduction and it's like, if you don't go out with one of the groups to do needle, like, everybody's like, oh, we want to go do service. Oh, go out, you know, go do needle exchange, or go out and do work, help people give them condoms. You know what I mean? Like, it's very common here. And that blew me away, because as I was trying to like start to figure things out, it was different, but because Salt Lake in general just has really, really good recovery. And there's a lot of, you know, whatever kind of anonymous group you want, we've got it like New York City does. There's Alcoholics Anonymous, Heroin Anonymous, Crystal Meth Anonymous. I think there's a bath salt anonymous that somebody invited me to. Now, and I was like, I should really be going into them.
Girl, moving on out to some new shit.
But then I'm like, I don't really want to know these people. Because those are my people, and then I'm like scared, so I'm getting my little bubble way over here. But we've evolved a lot. So what's it like with your kids now? Or do you have your kids back? Are you guys working on that?
Yeah, so my 17-year-old son, he just turned 18, sorry about that. He lives with me. So it's just me and him in an apartment. My 22-year-old daughter, she lives on her own. Well, she lives with my mom right now because she is like in between apartments, but I only have a 2-bedroom, so she couldn't stay with me. But yeah, I talk to her all the time. In fact, you know, we FaceTime like every day, or she comes over to my house. Like, we're very tight, tight. In fact, like, she, you know, had to go through this. She was in she was in an abusive relationship, not physical, but like psychological. And, I've been able to like be the fact that I can speak to that and understand like exactly what is going on there. She told me, she's like, I'm so grateful to have you in my life in this way right now because you've helped me heal like and get through it. You know what I mean? So it's been really cool. I've been able to, and I have, so my son, my youngest son, I haven't seen him in 6 years, and because he was 4 when I lost him. My brother and his wife adopted him, and I haven't seen them either, right? So it kind of like it caused this rift in our family because it was like, oh, like I can't go to Christmas because he'll be there. You know what I mean? And of course, I played victim, and I took that and I was like, oh, I see, and I have to use drugs now because I hate, like, she was my first name on my 4th step in when I was doing my 12 steps. And I literally like wrote her name down, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why would I resent this woman? She took this child from me and raised him when I could not, you know what I mean? So it turned into gratitude, right? That's what recovery gave me, right? Is this gratitude for the people that helped me. And so I was able to, like, that was about 2 months ago, I called her and I was able to make an amends to her. And I decided to wait until I had more time to do that, just so that,
I get it.
Build the trust, whatever. And I called her and she just bawled, and she was just like, thank you so much for that, and then that opened talks for me to see him again. And so, we were going to get together there. I was going to get to see him for the first time in 6 years on Thanksgiving, but COVID didn't work out. Probably Christmas is going to look the same, but I'm cool. Like, I don't have expectation of it. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? However it's going to go. But yeah, I mean, shit is getting pretty good.
Good. Well, so how old is your youngest now?
10.
10. And where do they live?
He lives in Plain City, the town that I grew up in, which is
Where's
like
that?
It's northwest of Ogden. It's like a little farm town.
I know people tell me all these towns, and I'm like, so what does that mean?
Yeah, you're not from here. Yeah, even if you are from here, you wouldn't. That's not a town that people know.
I know. I never know the one up wherever up north. I'm totally clueless.
Yeah.
Totally clueless. Yeah.
Even people that live here are.
So you guys do, so Recovery Vibe is on Thursdays, right?
Yep.
You just do Thursday nights right now at, what is it, Harton House? I love it.
Yeah, Harton House, which is 314 West Broadway, which is 300 South. And there's the Caputos, and it's upstairs from the Caputos. It's cool. Like, I mean, we obviously COVID has caused us to stop all operations. I mean, before this, we were taking it into treatment centers, you know what I mean? Like, I was dancing like probably 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week. And then we were also doing, sober raves and, different events. And so obviously we'll get it back, but right now it's just like, there's not a lot that we can do. And so the Thursday class, luckily it's enough space that we can socially distance and do our thing. But yeah, it's every Thursday at 7. And then we have a kids class. It's from 6 to 7 before that.
I saw that. That was so rad. That's so awesome. Like, kids and dancing. Like, I have a whole bunch of friends. Like, my high school friends were all breakers. And so a bunch of them are still like professional breakers today. And 2 of them do hip hop classes and like breaker classes. And they have these cute little kids that come, their little dickies and their little guinea keys. And oh my God, it's the cutest thing in the whole world. They're all popping and just doing cute stuff. So,
so it's so cool. Like, if you like get kids into it young, right? Because they don't have the inhibitions that we have as adults, right? You know what I mean? Right. They're just like, hell yeah, they don't have anything telling them that you can't do that, or you know what I mean? And so it's a cool time to get.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, I think so funny, like, so off of that, like, I had this conversation with a friend the other day, and like, one of the hardest parts for us people in recovery, right, is like during COVID or whatever, when we have like a hard time, our brains instantly tell us, oh, well, I have to get high for that. And so like, a friend and I were talking about this the other day, and she's like, yeah, well, my kid, he's sad and all these things are happening, but he doesn't relate to, because he hasn't gone through that of, oh, wait, let me go have a drink for that. No, let me go do that. And so it gets like, the holidays come and the holiday blues come, and now we're trapped in our house, and, our brains go back, because we work off memory. Our brains, like, for those of you guys who don't know, our brains work off memory. We go off of things that we've done in the past, and that's how how we remember things our whole entire life. Like we remember math and remember names and whatever. So like as a person in recovery, it's really hard to retrain the brain to, like, when you get sad or when something happens, our brains just go right back to, oh, I need to go find that release of the dopamine, and I need to go get the stress reliever, and oh, I don't know how to have fun unless I this. So we have to, like, it gets so much more harder and complicated. So like these kids, go to your dance class and they don't have to. I love how you just said that, because I'm like stressing over this all winter long, thinking, how do we get these people to not revert back to, I need to drink because I'm stuck in the house and I'm trapped. I need to drink because I'm mourning the loss of my parent. I need to drink because my best friend just overdosed. I need to drink because, or whatever, I just lost my job.
Yeah.
It's so hard to go through that. I mean, you can't teach somebody that. You just have to obviously help them retrain their brain.
Right. And that's like that's kind of like the whole thing with Recovery Vibe, is that, like, and eventually we want to include writing and, like guitar, whatever, like a bunch of, like, but it's creative expression, right? Because in our addiction and our that life that we were leading, like, we lose all care for passion or for the things that we love. But even, like, we don't even know that, like, the creative side of things, like, will definitely, like, it accesses parts of the brain that helps us, like, rewire those pathways, right? So we can, like, oh, when I'm stressed out, I'm gonna, like, that's why we tell people to, like, if you start to feel like triggered, go outside,
Yep.
or tell, like, just do something else with yourself, and it will literally, like, it starts to like, what's the word?
Your brain.
Redirect. You what?
ADD your brain. Trick it. Yeah. Move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that's, and so, yeah, I think, I mean, the COVID thing has been really hard. I know that. I mean, I, in fact, talking to a person from an insurance company, that we work with, that was like, yeah, our mental health claims and substance use claims have gone up. Like, I can't remember the percentage, but it was insane.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Insane, just in 2020. Because it's really, that's the thing, is we need connection, right? We need to, at least I do. You know what I mean? Like,
we all need connection, especially trying to get sober. Like,
I mean, I can't imagine doing it right now, to be honest with you, because I mean, that was my shit when I first got sober. Was just, I was going and going and going with people, doing stuff all day, every day. So I don't even know how people are doing it, but that's why we wanted to keep the live dance class. You know what I mean? Like, with the social distancing, as much as we can, so we can offer that, that connection. But yeah, it's so, like you said, it's so easy to, and I still do it, not to drugs or alcohol. I don't have, like, my brain doesn't do that to me anymore. But I don't worry. I have times where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get on a plane and I'm just going to fucking go to the middle of nowhere. And I'm never going to talk to anybody again.
Yeah, that's funny. Like, I know. I'm trying to disappear and go on all these trips too, because I'm, like, grateful that I'm at the part where bad days are just bad days and bad moments are just whatever's, and I know that they pass. Yeah. What would you say, like, what is your best advice that you can offer somebody, like, to somebody who is struggling right now? Because a lot of people are afraid to reach out and they don't know how to reach out. So, like, what would you say to someone who was, like, trying to almost on the fence to wanting to get better?
So you're talking about, like, if someone is like, do I get sober? Do I get clean? No, or don't I? And you just
it's that time of year. There's so many people now who are like, they want to get sober, but they don't even know how to start. Like,
yeah.
Like, what do I do? Like, how do I start? Like, I want to be like you. I want to be happy like you. Like, you're happy, you're beautiful, you've got your kids back, they like you, you have a job. Like, how do you go from being North Temple Gateway, for those of you guys who don't know Gateway and North Temple, it's hood. It's the hood. It's the $30 a night hood.
Yeah, best believe.
Yeah. Like
Um,
that's so inspiring. But like,
so
what do you say to that? Because it's not just wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, I'm done.
no, no. Yeah, no, like so it was like, I would say like okay, first of all, like you pointed out the fact that we have today, like so when I tried to get sober in 2007, it was pretty much just like AA, NA, maybe CA, I don't know because I didn't know about that at the time. But we did not have BAM, we did not have FTR, we didn't have Soap to Hope, we didn't have, recovery. So we didn't have Recovery Vibe. There was none of that shit that at least I didn't know about it. That was all. And also, addiction was a lot more stigmatized. I feel like it's been, like people now share, they're like, I'm, struggling, or I got 2 days sober, or whatever. That didn't used to be the case. And I think because of that, if you're like literally like you're contemplating, doing this, like, I mean, no one can do it for you, that is for sure. But I will say this, there are so many of us out here that will help you. We can't take it away from you, but we can walk with you and sit with you while you go through it. We can help you walk through it. Because I know, like, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. The thought of getting you, like, even, I mean, I had like family members that were like, you can go to treatment. I'm like, like, I did not know how to not do that life. You know what I mean? I was addicted to the hustle and the sex work and all that stuff as much as I was drugs. But anyway, like, yeah, the thing is we have platforms like this. We have Facebook and we have, where, I mean, you could just DM somebody and you're like, listen, I want to know more about what I can. And I mean, if treatment is for you, like that's, you know what I mean? There's a lot of options. Like a lot of people, the people that I, knew out there didn't have insurance, didn't have money. So there's like, Odyssey House, The Haven, 7th Street, Where Your Spirit, like places that take Medicaid. Journey, I'm not trying to leave anybody out. I'm just having a hard time. Steps.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Plenty of treatment centers that will take Medicaid, right? That take TAM. And will help you get TAM if you don't have it. But I suggest anybody, like whether or not you want to do 12 steps, I just think it's a good place to go to meet people in recovery. You know what I mean? Whether or not that's going to be what you're going to pursue, I still don't think it's a bad idea because it gets you in a safe spot for an hour. And you get to meet people. But yes, absolutely. There's so many of us. And like, I'm open to people. It's what I do for a living. You know what I mean? If people call me and they want to like ask me, you want to, send a message to me on Messenger. Hey, can you talk? Yeah, I can. That's part of that's what keeps me sober. Yeah. You know what I mean? Is turning around and helping you when you need help. So, I mean, there's a lot of options now. Your recovery can look like going to the gym, like FTR is a great, it's just a different kind of thing, right? Everything's, but at the very beginning, for sure, you need to get in the middle of the herd. You know what I mean? And just, that's the biggest fear to get over is asking for help. But we are all, I know I can probably speak for you. We are here to help.
For sure. I think everybody, and I always say it, even if you only do it in your treatment or whatever, like I think everybody should do the steps one time, just like kind of like you said, if that's how you end up staying forever, great. If you don't, like at least experience them and do them once, get in there, try the crowd. If it doesn't work, I mean, whatever. A lot of times, I mean, we're in a really big area here where it's easier. I feel for the people like in West Virginia that go to the one meeting a day and it's 4 people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, like we're blessed here in Utah.
Yeah, we can still, even with COVID, I can still find a live meeting. I mean, I have to wear a mask and I have to be 6 feet from people, but either way, I can still find a meeting where I get to be with my recovery people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge for sure. How do you guys spend your holidays? What's that like? It's gonna be weird here. Like, how was Thanksgiving? Did you guys?
So Thanksgiving was weird. I mean, so I went to my dad's and like there was just like 4 of us. You know what I mean? It was really, and that's a huge side of my family. My mom's house was like, we were very socially distanced, masks on the whole time, and it was very short. Like just because like, and my parents, they're not stoked. You know what I mean? They don't. And I don't want to expose them to COVID if, like,
yeah,
like personally, I'm, face my own mortality on a daily basis to be really afraid of that. But I also don't want to be someone that contributes to other people being sick. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I try to be cool. I try to be cool. So turns out my family's doing they're just doing Zoom Christmas now. So they kind of try to do Thanksgiving, then they were like, we're so close to a vaccine, I don't want to do it. So my parents, they're just gonna do a Zoom, both sides, my dad's and my mom's, they're gonna just do Zoom Christmas. So that's what it's gonna look like. My kids are gonna come over
yeah.
and hang
It's
out, but
crazy. Yeah, ours
but for you,
Thanksgiving.
are you guys shutting it down for your?
We're not doing well. I live in my parents' basement, so I'm if I didn't live here, I'm pretty sure it would have been a Zoom Thanksgiving. But I had this like gnarly cold that I got like I swear the day before Thanksgiving. So my dad, everybody was just like this to me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I got a COVID test, or it was a couple days before, so I was negative. But it was just like it's uncomfortable. It was just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable. Did everything with the mask on. Weird in the house. My dad sat in a whole different room and was like, I'm not coming anywhere in there. I'm not getting sick. I'm not doing it. And I was like, hey, are you doing over there? But whatever. And Christmas will just be it's interesting. And I feel like in our home, I mean, nobody's going without here. And my job, I do bail bonds. And so nobody goes to jail right now. And so my paycheck is like, there just is no paycheck this month. And but I'm okay with it because like the time that I've spent with my girls since like if they ever wanted to make up for lost time, like, they got all the mom they ever needed for the years that I was gone over this whole entire spring, over summer and COVID in the beginning of that and now. But like we're gonna just have like a simple Christmas. But I don't think anybody here. I mean, I could get 1,000 gifts if I wanted to, but I'm not worried about it. Like they're 12 and 13 and they'll have a couple of little somethings and it's perfect. Like I'm not stressed about it. I'm not crying thinking. And I think that's just because I'm finally at a good place in my recovery where I'm just like, you know what? We're here together as a family and it's like in this weird chaos. Like we have a tree. I got my tree and it's perfect. And I just feel so grateful because we could be out on the streets right now and it's freezing. And so every morning I'm just like, we're in a house and it's hot and you guys got food. That's the same thing we eat every single night. Like just I just feel like I'm just not worried about it, which I'm surprised because everybody freaks out at Christmas. Like my kids need to have 1,000 gifts, but I don't even think they give a shit. They're just gonna play on their electronics.
Yeah, no, you know what? It's amazing what humility will do to you if you let it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's something that we like as not everybody in recovery is like this, but like that's something that has been a gift to me is that I'm now like, oh shit, like I'm very grateful for what I have. And I'm very, like you said, like my whole mindset of what's important has shifted completely. Like I don't care about shit that I thought was do or die, you know.
Like there's some people this would be the end of the world. And I'm like, dude, if I have to go to
we got a damn tree.
Dude, we got a tree and it'll work, like it's just I'm just a great my kids might not understand it, but I have like this over like calming sense of just it's all gonna be okay. And normally I'm a future tripper and normally it's all anxiety and my poor kids and my blah blah blah. But it's 2020. That's where I'm at. Like
no.
This is where we're
I
at.
feel that. I know I feel that. That's where serenity comes from, right? Like I mean, that's something that I was taught in AA is that, living like just in here and now, right? Like not, and not being able to like not tripping on stuff you can't do anything about. You know what I mean? And just like being cool with what's happening right now. Like you said, like the future is we can't do anything about it in the past.
I don't even think they notice. Like they're so into their games. I mean, they notice a little, but and they're not gonna have nothing. But like the extreme that I used to think it had to be, like I feel like COVID taught my family something totally different. Like we just appreciate things for what they are. Because we could be sitting here negative and hating every single second of the whole world, and then we'd just be a shit show.
Right. Yeah,
But
you've taught them like the um it's like the stuff that you learned in recovery, right? Like that's like there's nothing you can do about COVID, right? And like
right.
being angry and being like pissed off and annoyed and all of that stuff that some of us experience sometimes does not change the fact that it's here, right? So
Right. Yeah.
you might as well just fucking have, like you said, like draw closer to each other. Like that's
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's been like beautiful because when we talk about dysfunction, like the whole neighborhood used to hear this house fighting, and I was half the problem. You know what I mean? So now it's like we sit and watch TV all the time, and we're binge watching shows with my dad, who him and I never had a relationship before. My mom and my it's been like it's beautiful. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was my whole entire life, and now lucky for my dad, everybody here in Utah is sober. So my big sister's sober too, and I am. So we're not like just being sick people in a room. Yeah, it's good. Like I'm grateful for sure.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I'm blessed. We're blessed. We are all blessed. Well, thanks.
Same.
We don't have to. I know you're working, and I just got some weird things popping up on my watch. It just threw me off. It was weird. Like it was just weird. It's throw you off weird. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining us. I adore you.
Rachel?
I think it is. That's why I'm just like I think it was. Because I'm pretty sure
Because you look all like
I know. Just like, dude, I'm pretty sure that there's nothing there. I do it all the time. Not that I want it. It's just, dude, I have like PTSD because, like, guys, like, hey, you already know. Like, I have PTSD from being sober and men who just think that that's normal.
Oh my God, the worst.
Control. It's out of control.
Men, if there are any men watching this, I want you to know something. We do not.
Okay.
I repeat, we do not want dick pics. Okay, unless we ask you for it, but that's the only time. Other than that, please don't do it.
Don't start off the combo with it. Don't like in the beginning when I used to like just try to expand my like sobriety network, I would just accept all the guys, and then the videos come in, okay, like videos, like real videos, and you're like, dude, I don't even know what. Like PTSD, it's there.
I know. I'm always like, does this work for you? It must work for you somewhere because you're doing this. Like that's crazy to me.
It's crazy to me. Like I just imagine that girls must teach men that it's okay because it's so common. Like I don't know, dude. It baffles me. So yeah, girls don't like it.
Oh, ew.
I freaking love you. Yeah,
I love you too.
Yeah. So thank you. Have a wonderful night. I love you.
Love you too. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.